and we will start with this. So in the previous class, we have discussed upon block diagram reduction from where the module starts. It's just the revision of what we have studied in the previous class. So all the second module part is completed. We have done main topics like block diagram reduction, its problem, signal flow graph, and its problem. We have seen the Mason's gain formula and all those things. So we are going to just see that what we have studied in the previous class. In block diagram reduction, we have seen that you can take any we have seen how the feedback mechanism is all about. We have two types of feedback, positive feedback and negative feedback. We have also seen the transfer function, what the transfer function is. Transfer function you have also come across those things. We'll be just discussing everything. So first thing what we have discussed in block diagram reduction is the summing symbol, and where we have seen that the summing symbols are represented in this form. You have to you can represent it in this form, that is one circle and cross with symbols at the outside, that is plus minus and all whatever the requirement is there. So this is what the summing point we have discussed upon. Then we also had talked about takeoff symbol. So takeoff symbol is the node where you have the connections, and you have these two things you should understand in order to understand the block diagram reduction process. So further on, we also discussed upon the closed loop transfer function, where we have seen the negative feedback mechanism. So you can see that the negative feedback, always feedback mechanism, as I have told you, the signal will start from the output towards the input. So if this is there, then only you can say that it is feedback, and this symbol here represents whether it is positive feedback or negative feedback. Further on, we have also seen its transfer function for the negative feedback process, and we have written few equations, and then we got the equation for negative feedback. So the symbol transfer function for negative feedback is C of S by R of S is equal to G of S divided by 1 plus G of S H of S. We also have seen the positive feedback mechanism. In positive feedback mechanism, we have understood that the symbol here has to be positive, and when you write the transfer function, it will be G of S divided by 1 minus G of S H of S. So this is what you have in these things. Further, G of S by 1 minus G of S H of S. Further, we have studied the 8 rules, and the 8 rules for reduction technique. You have to study this answer. Sometimes they can ask for internals and externals that explain all the 8 rules, or they can ask you explain the block diagram reduction techniques used in the control system. So theory question can also be asked. Okay, so what you have to see here is 8 rules are possible. So here combining the blocks in cascade. So we have two blocks here, G1 and G2. So when they are in cascade, we know that G1, G2 can be written as G1, G2, and we have done those things further. Then we have to also understand when the blocks are in parallel. When the blocks are in parallel, see, you should not get confused with blocks parallel and blocks in feedback. Parallel means you have to start from the input, end at the output. Here also you can see that it starts from the input, and it is coming towards the output. So that is very important for you to understand. Then Then when the two blocks are in parallel, you can write that G1 and G2, for example, here it is parallel, then you can write, if the symbol is plus and minus, then you could have written G1 minus G2. Since it is G1 and plus or minus, here we have written G1 plus or minus G2. The third point what we studied is moving a summing point behind a block, and this is the summing point and which you have to move for this side. So when the summing point is moved, you should make sure that you have to take care of the blocks whatever is associated with that summing block, and you are not supposed to change the output what it is going to get generated. So you can see that here in this figure x3 is g1 x1 plus or minus g2 x2. Here even after shifting the summing point, still the equation remains the same, x3 is equal to gx1 plus or minus gx2. So you are not supposed to, you should make sure that the output remains the same even though the blocks are being shifted. So that is what you can see here, and we have discussed all these things that time, the same thing. So here x2 is also connected, x1 is connected, and g is here. So when the movement of summing point is there here, the impact of g was there before. So that g has to be added here, and so that the equation remains the same in the output end. So the equation has to remain the same at the output end, even whatever changes you make uh, with the blocks. Then further, we have also studied the moving a takeoff point ahead the block. So this is called as the takeoff point. This point is called as a takeoff point, and we are asked to move the takeoff point ahead of the block. So this is what I am discussing is just for you to understand. You have to go through these things. It will be helpful for your internals and externals as well. So just listen carefully, because all these things you have already written, understood, and you have solved problems as well. So the takeoff point, you are when you are moving the takeoff point, you have to make sure that in this G is before the takeoff point. Then you make the takeoff point to come this side, means the impact of G has to be there. So with respect to x1 and x2 further, so that you will get the output x2 is equal to gx1. So that is retained at both the places. X2 is equal to gx1 and x2 is equal to gx1. So that's what, whether you are moving the summing point or whether you are moving the takeoff point or whether you are moving the blocks, the thing what you have to understand here is the output with respect to that section has to be the same. You are not supposed to manipulate the output by changing the block. So if you do that, your problem or the reduction will go wrong. Okay. So next one is what you have to see is moving a takeoff point behind the block. So this what we are going to do is this point we are taking it to this side, and when you take this point to this side, correspondingly you have to put here 1 by g. So since you have done quite a lot of problems, now you would have understood each block impact of each blocks and its rule, and how this has been implemented in problems and all. So further we have moving a summing point ahead of the block. So here the summing point is being moved further. So when the summing point is being moved, the impact of whatever blocks or whatever things are associated with that summing point, it will change. But what you can observe here is the whatever changes has been incorporated, the output part of the problem has to be the same. For example, x3 you can see here, here gx1 plus or minus x2, and here also gx1 plus or minus x2. So you should make the output part remain same, even though whatever changes you're going with to do with the summing block or takeoff point with respect to reduction process. Further, in the next rule, we have seen that summing point with the three inputs. So it's same as summing, adding A, B, C, and you are taking A and B together and C separate, or you are taking A separate and B and C together. However you want, you can do it. So that is what splitting. You can split the summing point, you can add the summing point. So you have to see that how these things has to be taken care when you are doing any of the problems. Then we have eliminating the feedback mechanism. So when whether it is a positive feedback or a negative feedback, based on that your answer will be there, or your equation will be g by if it is a positive feedback, it will be g by 1 minus gh, and if it is a negative feedback, then it will be g by 1 plus gh. So that all those things you have to remember. These are the 8 rules, and all these things has to be understood, and you have to even write with an example if anything is asked in examinations. Okay, so further we have you have to write the rule, and you have to draw this figure with everything you have to do if it is asked to explain the block diagram reduction techniques and all. Further we will see some problems. Here, the first problem what we have done is, it was quite simple, and we know that it is a feedback mechanism. We gone with the feedback process and simplified it. Then we took the cascade process of both blocks, and we simplified it further. And then again the feedback, and finally we got the answer for that. It's a very simple problem. If it comes for some very nominal 4 to 5 marks. Okay, but you cannot expect a simple problem in any of the question papers of block diagram reduction, or it can be the signal flow graph or whatever it is. Little bit complicated problems it will be. Sometimes you might have seen that problem, sometimes you it may be new for you. So it's not compulsory that always we should stick on to the problems what you have solved. We can have different problems which you might have solved, you might have not solved. So students have to solve more number of problems, and you have to make yourself competitive enough to solve any problem which comes in front of you. So next question, we have seen this block reduction technique, and where we have understood that this can be further simplified. Here we are mainly focused on the summing points first, and as I have told you before, the first two steps are very critical. First we have combined the summing points, then again we split the summing points, then we took the negative feedback process, and that's what we need to understand. After getting the negative feedback answer for this, we gone for the cascade process, and then again the negative feedback process. So this is how we have completed this problem. And further, in the next third problem, we have to reduce the block diagram reduction using this. Here we have to shift the takeoff point was the first step which we had to do here, and where we have moved the takeoff point to one side, and correspondingly the changes of the blocks has been done. So all these things, then further combining the two blocks which are in parallel, then after that you need to cascade these blocks as well. All this process has been done. So cascading the blocks was the third step, and further on we have to again shift the takeoff point this side, so that you can just change the structure of the figure, and combining the two blocks in parallel was then further carried out. So you can see that when you are taking any of the blocks, you should understand that whether it is a feedback mechanism, or whether it is the blocks are in parallel or cascade or whatever situation it is going to be. So first 2 to 3 steps, all these problems are good enough for this is okay. You have some 5 to 7 blocks in it, so it will carry some 8 to 10 marks for this kind of problems. So you have this. process where you have blocks in parallel and you have to cascade these blocks and then take the blocks in feedback process, that is a negative feedback mechanism. So all these things you completed and you got that answer. This is another problem which we did, that is reduction of block diagram and find the transfer function. Here also you have to understand that how the first step has to be carried out, and here you may be remembering that we have discussed with the summing point, splitting the summing point. We have split the summing points and then taken the feedback process, and uh, then we have also we have gone with the blocks in parallel and taken then the takeoff point to other side. So this process is done. Here you can see that these blocks are in cascade, and here you can see that the block is in feedback. Then all this process once gets simplified, it becomes easy, and once you cover up the first two steps, then this is just cascading and positive feedback, then again blocks in parallel and all those things. So this becomes easy for you to complete it once the the things are simplified further. So these are the problems which we discussed on block diagram. One more problem I think we have discussed, that is this one, where you have seen that G2 and G3 is in parallel, and further all these blocks became in cascade, and then we had to move the summing point behind the block. So we have shifted the summing points, and we changed in this form, then again split the summing points. We had to split the summing points, and once we split the summing points, then one block it became parallel, another block it became feedback. So that also we completed. So combining the blocks in parallel and the blocks in feedback. So once you do it, you will complete this. So what you can observe here is the first 2 to 3 steps becomes very critical when solving a problem, and be careful enough when you are solving the first two and third step maximum. Rest of the things, even in block diagram or in signal flow graph, it is very easy further. So further on in signal flow graph, we have understood all these things just recently. Signal flow graph representation is a graphical representation of the entire block representation, or anything whichever system is there in front of you, and it has two main things. One is called as the branches, another is called as the nodes. So this is called as a node, and this which having an arrow mark is called as the branches. So I have told you that the direction of the arrow mark is very important, and you are not supposed to go in the opposite direction of the arrow mark in whether finding out the forward path or finding out the loops or whatever it is. So terminologies used here in signal flow graph, you have node, branch, all those things I have discussed already. Then we have input and source node. So input node is the first node which where the signals are coming out from that, and the output node is everything is getting diverging towards it, or everything is coming into it. Then you have chain nodes. You have seen that x2, x3, x4, x5, and x6, x7 are called as the chain nodes. Then we have forward path. Forward path quite a lot we have seen. If you start from this point, the main important rule what you have to keep it in your mind is, once you leave the node, you are not supposed to go back to the node again. So once you leave the node, you should not go back to the node again, and you should keep moving from the node forward in the direction of the branches, which branch the direction is, and it has to have both the input node as well as the output node. It should touch both the nodes. So if you start from here, you can see that complete thing till x1 to x8 is the forward path. We have seen all these things in detail. We have seen the forward path, gain, loop, all those things. So moving with respect to loop, also we have seen what is a loop. So loop, we can see here. If you see here in this, this forms a loop where if you start from here, it should end in the same node. So then you can call that as a loop. Self loop is also there in the previous thing. You have seen self loop. So I have told you that some problems will have self loop as well, which you can see that it starts from the same node and ends in the same node. So that is called as the self loop. And here with respect to self loop, this point is very important. It should not be noted that self loop should not be taken in to account in determining the forward path or feedback path. Okay, so that has to be understood clearly. Then we have dummy nodes which will be kept in the input side as well as the output side. Non-touching loops, see, all of you go through these things. This is just for you. In 10 to 20 minutes I am briefing these things whichever we discussed in the 10 classes before. So non-touching loops, so these are called as the non-touching loops if the node whatever we have, this node should not be common for the two loops. So here if you take this loop and this loop, you cannot say that it is non-touching because this node is common for both the loops, and so it is not a non-touching loop. But if you take another if you take this loop and this one, this loop, then you can say that it is non-touching to each other because they don't have a common node sharing for each loop. So that is what you have to understand. You know that it's very important when solving the problems and all. Forward path and forward path gain, you know clearly, and loop and loop gain as well, you know. So all these things has been used for the problems. Mason's gain formula we have discussed. We have done quite a lot of problems. The equation is the summation of I is equal to 1 to n. And one more thing, Mason's gain formula and all can be asked as a theory question as well, to write explain Mason's gain formula for the simplification of SFG. So one more thing, see SFG they can call for because some students may think what is SFG. So signal flow graph they give short form as SFG. Okay. So further, any doubts is there, you can ask me. You can unmute and ask. Okay. So further on, we also have understood that these are the things with respect to Mason's gain formula, and we have found out delta n. N is the number of forward paths. Pi is the path gain. Delta you have the equation, and delta I also you have seen the equation. And if you see that here in delta you have 1 minus summation of loop gain plus summation, this minus plus and all you should not forget. So 1 minus random it is, means one after the other. If minus start with minus and then plus, then minus plus, like that it will keep going. So loop gain and summation of non-touching loops taken 2 at a time, taken 3 at a time, taken 4 at a time, as per your requirement of the problem you can expand the equation. And delta I is also you can see that you have eliminated the paths and you have done that in the problems. So finding the transfer function for first problem what we have seen. So first thing what I have to make sure I want to make you clear is once you start from the node, you should be very keen in observing the branches and the direction of the branches. You should be very careful. You should not go, as I have told you, you imagine that the branch direction is one way, one direction. You are not supposed to move in that opposite direction of that branch. You go in the same flow of what the branch is. So that mistake should not be done, and you need to try the possibilities, how many forward paths, how many loops. All these things are quite interesting. Once you solve more number of problems, no, you become very confident enough, and you can say that it's very much comfortable to do all these kind of things. So, and you know that we have covered two modules, and two modules means you will cover 40 marks in your university examination just by solving signal flow graph or block diagram reduction, or in first module you have seen mechanical network, it's all those process and all those. Only thing is that you need to solve more and more number of problems. There is no limit. That's why I have sent almost 20-25 problems for you to solve. Whichever you feel, you just write down and try to solve those things. Even assignment questions also, you can see that more problems we have discussed upon. So here in this we can understand that the forward path is being taken, and then here only one forward path is possible. You have three loops available here. Then using the finding the non-touching loops. So you know that non-touching loops means the node should not be common for both the loops. That is what you have to understand. If the nodes are not common for both the loops, then that two loops will become non-touching loops. And further in that same problem we continued, and we have used the delta and all those things. Here two combinations, also three loops, three are there, and taking three loops at a time, you will have this. After that you have to find the equation for delta, and simplify it for delta I as well, where you have I is equal to 1, because one forward path is available, so it is I is equal to 1, and you have to do for that forward path. That's why it is delta 1. So all these combinations we have seen, and further we have also understood that uh, Mason's gain formula has to be used, and substitute and simplified. So same way, these are just one day back we have done this problem, so I will not stress again too much in this. So this is another problem where you found out the path and loops and all those things. Yeah, here you have found out the path P1 and P2, and then you have found out the loops L1, L2, and L3. Further, you simplified. If you have any doubts in any of the questions or problems, you can discuss with me. Okay. After that, this was the problem which we discussed. Here, one challenging thing what we found here is finding out the forward paths as well as the loops, and we found that there is six possible forward paths as well as three possible loops. And here what you have to understand is, once you leave the node, and you have to make sure that you are following the arrow marks properly, that is the branches. You should not uh, see. I feel that once, see, this one is very important. Once I start from here, I have this direction or this direction, so I can go in any of the directions. If I go further into this direction, further I reach here, again I can see that I have only two directions, this direction or this direction. I am not supposed to move in this direction, it is wrong. Okay, so that is very important. So that is what you have to understand these kind of problems. It's very easy. You have to just practice one or two times. So this is the loops what you get, and then non-touching loops you found out, and simplified it further, and you got the combinations of non-touching loops, and finally you got the answer for that. Since there is six forward path, I is equal to 6, and you will have delta 1, delta 2, delta 3 till delta 6, and transfer function also you got it. Further on, you also have found out the equation for this problem, the transfer function for this problem, where you have found that the path 1, P1 and P2 is available, and 4 loops were possible, non-touching loops. Uh, when 2 taken at a time, 4 combinations were there. And once you've done all these 3 steps, I don't think you will make a mistake in this problem. And then further, there is non-touching, known other non-touching loops, and put in delta equation, found delta 1 and delta 2, and simplified with Mason's gain formula. This is what all about the module 2, and we have discussed all these things in much detail. And any doubts is there for you in module 1 and 2? It's clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you will need to solve more number of problems, and as much as you can. And if you come any new problem which we have not, either I have not given to you, or you have not solved in your notebook or in textbook, whichever problems I have sent you, with whether if it is not there, you come at entirely a new problem, you can share it in the group, and make it accessible for other students as well. So just if you come with a good new problem, solve it neatly, and you can put it in the group so that others can also solve those kind of problems as well. So this is what we discussed about module 1 and module 2 till here. So then further, let us move on to the third module. From here onwards, the modules will be little bit lengthy, means the problem will take a little more time to complete it. The third module is not that difficult, it is easy, but the problems are easy to solve. But you should never miss the classes whatever I take for these problems, because each and every point what I will be discussing in module 3, 4 and all will be very, very important. And so those small concepts will make a lot of difference for you when you solve the problems. So here we will just start with that. All of you can just note down module 3, time response for of feedback control system. Here module 3 is half of the module is entirely theory and derivation with less number of numericals, but we will have further, we'll be studying some topics where you have one problem itself will take an hour to solve it. Okay, so you need to practice it more, because when you solve it in examination you cannot take more than 20-25 minutes to solve a numerical. But since it is in class, it will take almost 40-45 minutes, because I have to make you understand these things and solve it. So first thing what we'll be studying, right on module 3, time response of feedback control system. So all of you know that we have been discussing on the we are in module 3, so write down module 3, time response of feedback control system. So all of you have understood till now what is a feedback system, what is a control system, and all those things. So we have studied two types of feedback mechanism: positive feedback and negative feedback. Here in this module, we'll be discussing on the time response. So what do you mean by step function, ramp function, parabolic function? What is the time response of the system with respect to time? And we will be also discussing on first order system, second order system, and all those things. So you can just write down the heading, time response feedback control system. So these things you might have also few concepts you might have studied in signals and system, maybe in the first module. What do you mean by step response, ramp, and parabolic? And what do you mean by first order system and second order system? So those things in the same way we have here in control system as well. we have to see that the time response of the system as a function of time, and what do you mean by the sum of the steady state response and transient response and all those things we'll be discussing here in much detail. So just you can write the brief introduction about it. The time response is the response of the system as a function of time, and the time response is the sum of the transient and steady state response. The transient response goes to zero as t tends to infinity, and steady state response is part of the total response that remains after the transient. So you can see that, for example, I can say you that if you take a pendulum, you can see that you swing the pendulum, it reaches to the steady state after a long time. So it will keep on moving further here and there, and it just concentrates itself to the end axis. So how much time it takes for the entire system to come to the stable state and all those things is what we are going to see here in this module. And we have poles and zeros and all those things, or poles concept and zeros and all we are going to see with respect to the transfer function and the time response of the system. So here you have to just understand that if the stability of the system is lost, and how much time it takes the system to retain to its stable state and all those things we'll see. So you can just note down, this is completely theory, you note down these things. Then we'll study the standard test signals. This completed this theory part.
No, the PDF is not this.
Screen is not visible.
Then this much time you didn't tell at all. This much time it was not visible.
No, sir.
Third module PDF was not visible, sir.
Okay. Should have told no. Now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So before when I was explaining, you didn't see the document.
We didn't see only for the third module, sir.
Second module you saw
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
when I was explaining. Okay, fine, fine. Okay. Okay, then you can just write down this. Write down module 3. You should respond to me if anything with respect to network or any problems with respect to visibility and on, because I will not be knowing that whether it is visible for you or not. Okay, so you just write down module 3, time response for feedback control system. So here we'll be here main intention is to find out whether the system is stable, or whether the system how much time the system takes to come to the stable state and all those things, as I have told you one of the example of pendulum and all. And like that many things you can see where the once the system undergoes its when once the system becomes unstable, it takes almost a steady state time or a particular time to entirely for the system to come to the normal state or a stable state. So those things in aircrafts and all, the stability of the system is very important. And you can say that because of some disturbances or because of some problems in the flight, it might lead to the see, aircraft is a very good example for control system. And where you can see that if there is a slight variation in the system characteristics, the entire system goes out of its stable state, and then it's very difficult for the pilot to retain it back to the stability. So that's why all this how much time this, if it goes to an unstable state or in a non-stable state, then how much time it takes for it to come back to the stability, all those things we have to find out from this module 3. So we'll be having few methods for that and few equations to do that. So we'll be also discussing the first order system as well as the second order system. So these points you can just note down. So all of you write down module 3, time response for feedback control system. So all of you should solve that numericals in the assignment and submit it. So almost I think 5 to 6 are theory questions and rest of the questions are problems. So you need to solve it and submit, make the PDF and submit it. And while you are coming to the college, submit the hard copy for me. So once you complete it, just let me know that. Then we'll discuss upon the standard test signals. There are 3 types. So is that completed? So is it completed for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will just discuss the 3 standard test signals. First one is called as a step function. Second one is called as the ramp function, and third one is called as the parabolic function. So we'll discuss in detail step function, ramp, and parabolic. All these things are quite familiar to you as well. You have studied what do you mean by step, ramp, and parabolic. You just complete it, and we will start that. I think today it's almost time, so we'll start it in the next class with from standard test signals and all. So you can just write down step function, ramp function, and parabolic function. Step function, I will just explain you, but we'll discuss this again from standard test signals in the next class. So step function, you know that you have the instantaneous signal in the reference. So this is the signal moves in the same for the time k. If you have the equation for that, r of t is the representation for that, and k where t greater than 0 and 0 when t less than 0. So the function is written in this form. We'll discuss this in the next class in much detail. So you can just write down these things, standard test signals, and we'll wind up for today. And we'll discuss these 3 test signals in much detail for the next class.